2, 1. Good evening, YouTube friends. How's ev- how's everyone doing tonight? All right, I gotta go find our intro video. I need something to get me jazzed up and ready to go. Welcome and good evening. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight I have Neindorf with me. How you doing, Neindorf?
Well, how about yourself?
I'm. It's been an interesting day. I would say overall, feeling pretty good though. Feeling pretty good.
All right.
All right. Well, you want to kick us off with maybe question of the day?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, obviously given the drop for Crystal Vale today, I thought it was appropriate, with all this new awesome artwork. What's your favorite part? What zone or what maybe even a specific feature? What do you like?
Well, I'm gonna jump over to the Crystal Vale map now here on YouTube while I'm answering the question. But um, I think what I would say, the video with the snake, when you click on when you first see the snake for the first time, I thought that was really cool. So yeah, the tree with the mysterious gem on the inside that, they said the snake Zinra says, "Keep your distance, far wanderer. These are sacred grounds, and you must prove yourself first." So, really looking forward to the lore that they're pouring into this. I don't know. I think this map is evident that, they're putting so much more thought into the lore of this place. Not that they didn't the first time around, but I think that they had kind of an opportunity to really put a team focused on that here. So, yeah, really excited.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I agree. It just speaks to there's a huge quest line around that, and we just can't wait to figure out what that is. So for me, I guess there's two things, and I'm not really sure which. So I'll maybe just go into both. I think by the docks, like the dead Kraken thing is pretty sweet.
That's great.
Like there was some sort of battle there, and obviously, the people won eventually because it's kind of lopped into pieces, but I think that's pretty sweet.
The
The
survivors
second
from the
thing,
perilous journey.
maybe, right? The second thing is interesting to me is if you go into the jeweler, if you pop in there real quick?
Yeah, 1 second here. Uh, Trying to jump into YouTube and in and out here. All right, going over to the jeweler. Yeah.
So, it's all the lava and stuff. Like what, we're in Crystal Vale, and it's like a land of ice, and then there's this molten flowing material.
Underneath
Um,
in the mountain.
right, yeah, is this like they got to be careful they don't dig too greedily and too deep.
Yeah. Yeah, they may awaken a Balrog. Actually, I
Right?
just I was rewatched The Hobbit for the first time, and this does give me a lot of Hobbit vibes of the kingdom that they were building when they found the Arkenstone. So maybe that's what the
Ah,
triangle is there in the center.
that's right. Or maybe they're, mm, you know, growing crystals in a lab here or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, so we got, probably not a lot formally planned for tonight. I think we're just going to riff for a little while on launch day updates, maybe take a few questions from YouTube on the launch day. I think maybe talk a little bit about each of our own experiences. And then, what I call our not financial advice section. Actually, just more like what are we doing, and how are we managing our jewel bags, and what's our strategy. We have an extended deadline, so there was the announcement that came out well, a few hours ago now, where Frisky Fox said that they're pushing back the start of the garden rewards to. Oh, and that's my alarm that I have miners that I need to go get. So I'm gonna go do that here in a second.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been running with an alarm system on my phone. It just feels a little more reliable that way. So otherwise, I always forget. So, yeah, I guess while I'm jumping back over here to Saradale to do my questing, Neindorf, maybe walk us through, how did you prepare going into today? And then did any of the events from today kind of change your thoughts on what you were going to do next?
Sure. So yeah, I started with I don't know a fair amount of jewel in the bank. I hadn't touched my Serendale gardens at all, so those are still happily earning jewel. And then I was kind of watching, as the announcements came out early that they were going to go to, push it a little bit, an hour or two. And I was just kind of, listening to all the chatter, taking it all in. And then, I was just kind of watching the jewel price chart over the day. And I know you and I had chatted, and it, we kind of had this goal where we wanted to, to withdraw some of our initial investments out because I had done this in the past, but so bullish that I put it all back in, right? And so I was watching the chart, and I end up Jewel gets up to about 1050, and we're like, oh, this is fantastic. And then it starts dropping a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do that a little bit out. So I ended up with that Jewel I had. I ended up just putting it to US dollar coin temporarily. Um, and then I did. After asking a bunch of questions on our Discord. Thank you to everybody who's participating and answering and doing research for us. I did end up sending a little bit across to crystalvale. I think it was something like I don't know 50 or 100 jewel worth, nothing too crazy. I didn't want to be 100% out of it. I wanted to feel like I was at least participating a little bit. So we'll see when that shows up, of course.
Nice, nice. I only transferred one, and I haven't even checked to see if it made it. A single jewel. I'd say I had a little bit of a wild start to the day. Well, yesterday the Gen ones got sick at home, so we had a
uh,
late night last night, and I thought it'd be kind of responsible for me to work from home. And I was already planning on taking the afternoon off, and so I jumped on for the start of the DFK team's live stream, and like the one thing that I would say that I really liked about the Crystal Vale is the automatically going to the docks and having the new network set up when you click go to Crystal Vale and having that loaded onto your MetaMask. I thought that was a really unique and I thought a nice, when I try to think back to how much of a pain in the butt it was for me historically to try to get into the game or in and out of the game. And so I thought that was a nice little added feature to just make it that much easier. Um, and so like I thought that was great. But I would say kind of my highlights of the day probably stopped there. It feels like we really stumbled out of the blocks with the RPC issues, and especially coming off of the great AVAX presentation or presentations at the AVAX summit last week. I'm obviously still a huge believer in the game and very bullish, but it was just it was a bit of a weird day, kind of going from being like super excited and then like you mentioned, we both had some goals, which I think is a little counter to probably most of what our Discord is doing. But we have yet to take any profits out of the game yet, and so a big goal that we had both set for ourselves is pulling some of that out. I pulled 2/3 of my original profits out today when we hit the $10 mark. I got really excited at 10.50, thinking that it might keep going up. And then we were texting as it was dropping down from 10, and I'm glad I got out when I did, because then I think it got back up to 10 a couple times. But it's been I can bring up the jewel chart too. Let me jump over to OBS and switch my screen. I have it up on CoinGecko. It's just been a bit of an odd day. And yeah, so now we're sitting at 974 for jewel. So certainly, had a big start to the day, and then kind of petered out a bit. What are your thoughts on the current price at Jewel?
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably had the same experience that we did, where it's like you try to you, you submit a transaction and you want to see it go through. And I was even just trying to play the regular game and complete some quests. We got some gardeners here that we're trying to keep going 24/7, and like that was just even getting stuck for a while too. So it was another one of those days where it's apparent that this technology is still new, and they're still going to work out the bugs. It's I was a little surprised. I think I'd read somewhere that they were saying that it was processing the bridge was processing like one transaction a block, and I was
Ooh,
like, I really hope that wasn't someone thought that that was the design that was going to stick. I'm like, there's so many people who are going to try to bridge so much in so many
right off the bat,
transactions.
yeah.
Oh yeah, well, like in for example, like I think it's a great point. Like you send in one jewel, that's just kind of how you do it in crypto, right? Like
Oh
whenever
yeah.
you're blazing a new trail, you don't just drop, you don't just YOLO across a new bridge just because. You got to kind of see it work, make yourself feel comfortable. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think that number needed to be way bigger, and it might be technological limitations or whatnot. Um, I don't know all the details on the new DFK chain, or how many validators or what those characteristics of those servers are. So there's a lot out there, but yeah, it has definitely been kind of a whirlwind of on our Discord. I love all the chatter and I love all the comments everybody's making. So keep it up, everyone.
Yeah. So, um, let's. Oh, what was that? Did I get something special in that quest that I just missed by? Let me go back. Um, yeah, I just got my first gray egg.
Nice.
While we're chatting here, I was trying to buy one off of you last week. Yeah, this is my first gray egg, and I just was blazing through, jumping into the docks to try to go over to Crystalvale. Um, oh, that's cool. Definitely, yeah, a strong end to the day, I guess. So, and we have not seen any crystal, X crystal deposited into our accounts yet. Have you seen anything in yours?
No, no, and I think that's pretty universal at this point. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's going to drop when emissions begin, or I don't know if that's all 100% clear yet. So I think that's another one of those things we'll have to kind of wait and see. I'm sure we'll get it. The team always makes good on their promises. I think it's just going to be
Yeah.
a matter of when.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I have not seen my dual bridge over yet, so it's got a spinning wheel next to it. So who knows?
Where do you see the spinning wheel? Where are you looking? I
I
don't
was
have
at
your
the
screen up.
trader, looking at the trader to just see what jewel was popping up in your token addresses.
Gotcha. One thing I did notice that I thought was interesting, um, if you pull up your inventory in Crystal Vale, it still has all your items.
Oh,
So I was kind
oh,
of
so I could have
like,
found my gray egg right there.
that's kind of odd, in my opinion, because like you've changed networks,
Hmm.
right? So
How do
how
you?
are your tokens there showing up?
Interesting.
Like I get that you probably want to be able to spend your inventory items wherever you are in the game per se. Like if it's a stone for leveling when you're summoning a new hero, I get that you'll want them in both locations, but
Wouldn't you
it
have to?
feels as though you should have to bridge them
That's
across,
what I was
right?
just saying or thinking. Is like, yeah, it would seem like you have to bridge it.
So I'm really curious what's going on there and how that's going to work out, or maybe it's just I don't know if it's an artifact of having been on one and then you switch over. Maybe it's still just as kind of cached in the browser. I don't know. So I want to do a little investigation there because that's very interesting on what mechanism that's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. So we had a comment in YouTube chat jumping in there real quick. Is there going
Sure.
to be YOLO Boy says, is there going to be a new profession? At the bottom of the marketplace, there's an NPC named Hunter Fior, and he has a dialogue hinting towards a hunter profession. I have not seen this. And so, wait, where did he say that was? He said at the bottom of the marketplace, NPC named Hunter Fryer. Okay. Our hunters just returned from a haul of a lifetime. Vidthraven will be eating good this week. Want to try your hand at hunting? Check back in when we're about to set out. Oh boy, that's pretty cool.
So I believe I predicted that there would be a new one. I because it just makes sense. Like you've got, we have the charts that we're used to looking at, or which class has which profession they're good at, right? And where their stats are kind of more aligned with. Um, and there's just and also, thanks to Mr. Zipper and a lot of other people, we'd figured out that there's spaces in the raw blockchain data for all these new classes, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's also spaces in the profession numbers. So I had predicted from that alone that it just makes sense that there'll be more professions. So I hadn't noticed that guy down there height, but that's awesome.
Hunting
It
as
does
the
make
new profession.
sense.
Yeah, and how many spaces are there?
I think that one is a little strange. It's not like the whole um, March Madness bracket kind of thing, right? Where you go basic to advanced to elite. It's
Yeah.
more like I want to say it's 0, 2, 4, and 6 or something like that are the current professions that we use. So there's only like one space between, which also is what led me to believe that there would just be one per new outpost or new
Mm,
expansion. Um, so that's, we'll see how it works out, but I think he's onto something there, and I think yeah, Hunter would make a lot of sense.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if like say Archer is actually a really good hunter, because it doesn't necessarily have to be just the two
Right,
um,
right. It doesn't
new
have to be.
genes.
In
So then, what
fact,
if there's a race?
I think you
All right,
could
go ahead.
look at the charts. I know it's one of those saved images we have in some shared material that we have where um, there's like the different the tiers for profession questing, and how like paladins and dark knights are great at mining and gardening, or well, dark knights aren't so much, or maybe they're a B tier, but um, there are definitely some heroes that are a little weaker or more outclassed than others. So um, I'm really curious to see, like what would, so let's do some wild and reckless speculation now.
I've got
If you
some.
think about your stats, what do you think is going to be most important for hunting, and would that potentially play into maybe even like what a berserker or a seer is really good at?
Yeah, so I think you're nailing in right where I was going here. I was, just like I said, I was picking at Archer because Hunter, or, a bow, right?
Uh huh.
So what if that ends up being a great profession? Well, there's a whole bunch of archers out there in the universe now, but none of them have this new profession. So what if you have to bring them over and actually summon them with some of these new classes that will have these new profession genes in hopes that your
Interesting.
offspring
Could
actually
be
gets the profession
could be
that the
great.
archer
Yeah.
is really good at.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an interesting dynamic and a way to get people to mix
I
the Serendale hero classes with the crystalvale. Because otherwise, it seems like you would just keep those two together to always have that chance at advanced class, like we're doing. But
yeah.
they could incentivize it through profession also.
I love that, man. Coming up with the great ideas again here, Neindorf. Yeah, you're
It's
right,
what we
because
do.
otherwise it's just going to be the market's going to be overloaded with just people trying to get berserkers and seers. But then this adds a whole nother wrinkle. So if archers, let's stay on this one. Archers are really good at dexterity, and that kind of
Hmm.
aligns well with hunting, because their
Yep.
dexterity, I believe, in a recent AMA, they kind of equated to an accuracy um, boost is the way that they're thinking about that. And so, what else would be with archery? It might be strength for killing,
It could be.
ultimately killing something. And archers are decent at strength, and so that could definitely indicate that they would be tier one. Ninjas would be pretty good at hunting, which kind of makes sense as well with
I
that
could
high
see
dexterity.
agility.
Yeah, agility for sure. Gotta chase that deer down and jump on its back,
And that would kind
take
of
it down.
be, yeah, that would be the mix between. So then hunting would be, if it's dexterity and agility, say, that's kind of a mix between the foraging and fishing professions. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Yeah, I don't know. I think this is fascinating. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, as am I. As am I. All right, well, let me jump over here onto YouTube and maybe offer out, any Crystal Vale questions that anyone has out there, and kind of if not, then maybe next we'll go to our not financial advice, and give kind of our stories of, what are we doing. I know we already talked a little bit about just taking some out, but just giving a little more idea on where that is compared to our portfolio size. So,
Yeah.
pirates might be good at hunting because they have a gun. That's what
Ooh,
JHW3D says.
I could see
That's a good
that.
one
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Yeah, and that makes kind of sense too, because I think if you look at pirates and where they're at in the tier, like you said, is it a B, C, T,
They're kind
D
of
tier,
middling
like for the
for most
profession?
things.
Yeah, they're not fantastic at much. So I think that actually makes a lot of sense to me. Um, so could you this is kind of a bit of a segue, but wheel over to the marketplace in Sarandale if you still have it. Are you still nearby, I would say?
I'll jump back into it.
Um, so I couldn't help it. I had to see if clicking on the chicken like a million times would do anything.
Yeah,
My Zelda roots just would not let me leave the chicken alone. And unfortunately, it just seems to jump. I was like, oh, I want that thing to fly all over and go crazy.
in the marketplace, there's a chicken
Yeah, yeah,
of
he's sitting up
Serendale
on top of the perch there, or the fence.
on Serendale.
No, no, no. Oh, sorry, sorry. I'm not watching on Crystal Vale.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just jumped over to
Ah, yeah, no worries. But yeah, there's a little white chicken, and I was like, oh, I gotta click on him and see if he's gonna attack.
harassing the chickens of what was it, Kurikio Village, and
So
until
enjoyable.
they came down to attack you, death from above.
Uh,
Yeah, he does jump. That's pretty funny.
the
Yeah,
dog does too, I noticed, across the way.
yeah. Okay,
It's just
so
fun to go click on everything, you know? It's like a brand new world here.
oh, it is. They put so much effort into this. Yeah, I would say the design and the setup is just so clean, so well done. All right, well, let's go to the not financial advice section. So something we're trying to zig a bit when everyone else is zagging, and one of our steadfast items right here is we're leaving our gardens alone. You kind of mentioned that a little earlier. I'm doing that as well. Have you seen the APRs of Jewel One tick up? And I'll jump back over and bring that up on screen and tell me what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, so I believe about a week, maybe a week and a half ago, I want to say Jewel One was sitting at around 250% APR. So it was still nice and healthy. I mean, that's nothing like you're going to find in any savings account. Let's put it that way. But as I check it now using the some of the tools, it's looking like it is over 430%. So
Yeah.
we've had a significant boost um, in that rate just because of people withdrawing money. And looking at the whole concept of impermanent loss, right? I look at my Jewel count in there, and it has gone down quite a bit as Jewel has pumped. But one has pumped a little bit, so it's not gone crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm down like 300 or so Jewel technically if I were to just pull it all out. And so that's another reason I'm kind of just leaving it, just because I would rather kind of wait to see if there's another cycle with Jewel. It's probably gonna get back. I honestly still think long term $5, and I know we've talked about this, is
Yeah.
probably where it belongs. Um, so and being bullish, I'd actually rather leave it in there until it gets down to $5, and then I can pull out more Jewel and actually play the game
Play the
more,
game with
right?
it. Yeah. Yeah. I am. While we mentioned that we're pulling some money out right now, I think we're fortunate that we're in a position where we've had a chance to build up our hero counts and build up a nice count of dollars that are sitting in the gardens right now, and then we can leave alone and just lean on those harvest rewards. I still can't decide if I want to compound those harvest rewards, pull them out to throw them into crystalvale here like tonight, or my original plan was actually to sit on the harvest rewards for a couple months, and allow that unlock percentage to start to turn in my favor, and then hit that claim button once I get down to like the 10% locked value or something like that, and unload a large jewel bag at that point in time. So I still can't decide really which direction I want to take things, but like you said, I think it's been nice seeing that that jewel per day start to tick up. And I think, I guess where I'm at right now is, while going through, and crypto is this way, so it's not surprising by any stretch, but markets go up and down, and kind of going through a few ups and a few downs, and then really being down there this last few months, and then kind of real life coinciding with a few changes that I want to make and some bills that I want to pay. I was actually kind of excited to unload at $10, and just kind of see where the game continues to take us. I agree with you that I think $5 is the right spot long term. I don't know. We've talked about that a lot offline, but I don't know if we have on the podcast. Do you want to kind of give your thoughts on that, and then I'll give my thoughts?
Sure, yeah. I think for me, it's basically, a lot of it has to do with just that we've been, like you said, we were lucky, we got in pretty early. We're sitting on decent amounts of locked jewel yet. And the miners are doing their thing, but they are really not mining a whole lot percentage wise of that locked jewel. So the market still has a lot of jewel to absorb. And I think that alone is going to drive, that'll drive the price down just because supply is going up. Sure, we'll onboard more people and that'll all be great. And I think that'll help. But it just seems as though once you start to get to these numbers, uh, not a lot. The game slows down a bit. Like there's not as much movement. It becomes not as active in the markets,
Uh huh.
and those sorts of things. Now the only complicating now the counterpoint maybe would be the fact that on this new AVAX chain with Joule as the token for gas, and they're going to burn more Joule. That might be a counterpoint to my argument. So I don't know. It's tough. Maybe now I may be saying 750 is the right answer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have, I guess, a lot of science to my thoughts on it, but I think the future play of the game is getting into combat, and that's what's going to get people to want to play the game long term. And I think with any kind of game or financial system kind of like this, there have to be some winners, there have to be some losers. And I think there's a lot of, whether it's free to play games out there in the world, you kind of got to think, like, I think there's two demographics that this game is going to cater to in the future. I think it's going to cater to people who can put some kind of sizable investment into the game, and you can do more of a long play, and you can take advantage of some of their incentives, and you can do things that support I would say creation mechanisms in the game. And to me, that's summoning, that's building buildings on land in the future, that's like maybe hosting battle tournaments or something like that. But these things that have kind of these steeper total entry fees, in order to do these kind of creation elements. But I think that's going to appeal to or be available really to a much smaller population. And I think if they really want this game to blow up and become big, the other population or group of people is like your casual, what I would call almost like your free to play style gamers right now. I think of whether it's Clash of Clans, Axie Infinity's probably a little more expensive than that, or even something like a Fortnite or Pokemon Unite, things that are free to play, but you buy skins, you buy adventure packs, you buy items in game that change the look of your characters. I think it's pretty standard for players of those games. If you get sucked into it, even something like a League of Legends, an average or an active player probably spends somewhere between $5 and $20 a month, just doing something like that. And I think that because this is a play to earn game, um, and a pay to play game, I think you're going to have to, in the combat system, pay some number of jewel to enter into combat tournaments. And I think they're going to have tiers where there's going to be your entry level tier for the combat system tournaments, where it might cost you a jewel and it pays out. You get your money back on the top 50% or something like that. Top 10% earn more. And then there's probably going to be a tier of battling where it's like $20 or 20 jewel entry fee, and probably a tier of battling where it's 100 jewel entry fee. And I think that's where the long term of the game is. But I think you're going to find the vast majority of players, and again, this is reckless speculation. I think that they're going to be inside that, wanting to spend somewhere between, I don't know, $5 and $20 or $10 and $50 a month. I think anything outside of that, and you're just not going to appeal to a mass audience.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, we'll have to see how these jewel emissions and crystal emissions from these gardens, how they settle long term, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. Because I mean, imagine, if you're a person, say you got into the game and you put, I don't know, $1,000 into it, which seems like a lot for a game, right? And you had that in the gardens, and say that earned you, you know, a jewel a week, like you're saying. Would that be enough to keep you happily playing, or is it going to take a big jewel bag that's 5,000 or more? I think that's where there. I think, yeah, back to your balance. I think that's going to be very important. And we all that we I'm sure they'll fine tune it as they go. Um, and there's lots of land to be given out, and so there's high incentives there. But that won't be right away, and there's limited land, so they'll have to be. It's just kind of the other thing too. It's like, you can get those the runes in your quest rewards right now, and you're like, oh, that's a little bit more of a reward than a bloater, right? And so you'll still have that at every level. I feel like the meh reward and the okay, that's a pretty good reward, and then you have the yes, I pulled a gray egg, right?
Yeah, yeah. And those they come around just often enough that it keeps you excited and invested in the game. All right, well, jumping over to YouTube chat here. LG Boy asking, no one's talking about the leaderboards yet. Yeah, let's. They're not in game yet, are they? They haven't actually like released any kind of leaderboards for stats or anything like that, have they?
No, that's all. That'll be. I think that's down the road a little bit yet. Maybe sooner than later, but um, yeah, that'll take a while yet, from what I understood.
Yeah. And I would suspect that they, actually provide financial incentives for leaderboards. And so if almost like King of the Hill style, like you stay top leaderboard, and I bet they do them for stats, for levels, for combat wins, for a number of quests. I bet there are all sorts of different things, but they seem to want to reward people for playing the game. And so I bet there's, yeah, a leaderboard for most bloaters pulled, and if you're on there for a month, you get a jewel or, something extra to make it kind of fun and build some combat side quest elements into the game.
And I even heard somewhere they say that they could get as crazy and specific as like most bloaters pulled by a bald hero or something like that. Because
Well,
it's
yeah,
all
all
on
the
chain,
data's there
right?
in the blockchain. Yeah.
That's right. So I mean, their creativity will take over at some point, and I think we're going to see some really cool stuff.
So LG Boy's telling me to go look at the castle. Let's see.
Ooh, did something happen?
There's the.
Oh yeah.
What are you
Wait,
clicking on?
what? There's a leaderboard.
Oh, there is indeed. Collect the most silverfin. What? Thank you,
What?
LG Boy. Wow, bring in the alpha
Holy
here.
cow.
Collect the most gold vein.
Dude,
Huh.
that's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, had no idea that it was there.
Oh yeah. So now you got to go look at the gray egg list. Are you on there?
Hey, yeah, yeah. Let's go look.
One collected is the leader, so you're. Yeah.
That's gotta be me. Yeah,
Oh,
today.
that's funny.
Well, I guess I could be any one of these
Yeah, and
on here.
oh, that's really cool. So it's within a
Oh,
day
my.
and
Oh, yeah, here.
a week and a month. Oh, this is sweet.
Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see them actually, incentivize this. Wow, I could spend the rest of the podcast just looking through spider
No
fruit.
kidding.
Ooh, I gotta stay away from those. Those creep
Uh,
me out. All right.
well, yeah, thanks for the tip, listeners. That's awesome. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was up.
Yeah, nice work, LG boy. All right. Okay, well, let's go to I think we kind of talked enough about our zig when everyone else is zagging. Um, I guess the last kind of topic of conversation that we had for tonight is looking at maybe heroes of the day with the combat focus in mind. I'm not sure if we have a ton of specific guys picked out. I think I got one. If you are for some reason not either divesting or putting into crystalvale, I saw a fancy little mythic going for sale. And so maybe Nindorf, you think of your guy while I'm bringing this one up.
Yep, I'll
Um,
I'll do a little research real quick here.
and so, and I don't have this history stats on this, and obviously there's the accidentally listing guys out there, but there's a mythic advanced class going for 550 jewel, and that to me, I think again I haven't been following this, but that feels like a all-time low. I haven't seen anything listed that that wasn't like accidental. I haven't seen anything go that low and be listed out there for a while. So if you're looking for an advanced class, there's a ninja wizard going for 550, another ninja wizard going for 570, and these are both level 2 as well. So you get a whole level out of that.
That's a
So
pretty solid deal. I
that's
like
one that,
that.
yeah, again, if you're sitting on a big jewel bag, and I'm glad I unloaded my jewel when I could, because I always get that mystic purple shiny color. It always catches my eye. So what are you looking at for a hero?
At this point, I really am trying to see if there are deals at higher level heroes.
Higher level
Just because
heroes.
when things are starting to heat up, competition wise, with it, if it's, land tournaments or whatnot, you know, finding that level one right now, it's a heck of a deal. It might take quite a while for that to pay dividends. And,
There's a level 7 for 52 jewel.
wow,
Level 8.
that's pretty crazy.
All right, the cheapest level 8. They are both PJ survivors, and whoa, one's a paladin. Holy moly. Level 11 paladin.
Wow,
Yikes.
that's
The other one's
crazy.
a Gen 0. Okay, so let me go back to level 6. I can't believe there's that many. There's over
Yeah,
100
there's a
users
lot of
now.
heroes on sale for. Um, do you have any other filters on? Because if you go to seven, I think I'm down to like 66 heroes already. So
Maybe
it's
maybe I did have another. Oh, maybe I have my advanced class filter on.
yeah, there's a lot of heroes here. Um,
Wow.
well,
All
so
right.
I guess I should say, in this market where heroes are cheap, I did end up picking up a legendary monk with Gen 1 with 10 out of 10 summons. So you know,
Nice.
and he was only a level one. So after having said I would look for a high level hero, I did the exact opposite earlier, um, because I wanted someone who extremely long term would pair with a legendary pirate I have, and they matched pretty well. So that legendary pirate I have is at level 7, so that monk's got a lot of catching up to do. But we were chatting about this too, with that growth in the XP per level, eventually they'll get within a couple levels, maybe even within a level without having to stand pot, necessarily.
Yeah.
Um, and that's, we've talked about that strategy. I'm still running hard with that with my summoner. Um, I've been noticing the cost of stand pots in the marketplace has been really low, and I've been loving it.
I
Um,
yeah, I just did that for those savvy watchers out there. I just did that with my mythic miner. I've been doing that nonstop to try to catch him up and get him up a little higher.
oh yeah, right now a stamina potion is 1.32 about Jewel.
There you
So,
go.
if I got that summoner out there pulling about 1.1 Jewel per bar of stamina, you
Yeah.
pretty much pay for the next stam pot like for free. So that's a huge boost for some of these heroes. And that's that hero of mine that he was standoutish, and then I didn't send him on the PJ, and now he's kind of not standoutish. So I'm kind of hoping this is a way I can get him back in the mix,
Back
if
in
you
the
will.
game, yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, here I think I have the hero of the day. Uh, Gargamella Goldcrag, Pirate, primary class, Dark Knight subclass. Hero number 45197 is a rare, level 6 PJ Survivor for 85 Jewel.
Wow.
He's a Steve the Pirate because he's a gardener.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I will say this guy had to have rolled absolute crap in his level ups because his strength is so low. And he obviously
Uh,
wasn't focusing on that. He was focusing on vitality and perhaps wisdom. I'm not sure what the strategy was for this guy during his initial 6 level ups. And maybe that's why he's selling them. But that, gosh, for 85 Jewel, Pirates have a decent, strength percentage at 70% level up for strength. And then that secondary class, you're getting 21% with a Dark Knight. If you take a rune and you boost that every single time, what's the primary boost? Is that 5%?
5% for the lessers, yes.
Yep. And then it's like 20% for the secondary on lessers, right? Or
I want to
15,
say it
15%.
goes 5 and 15, and then
5
for
and 15.
the normal non-lesser versions, I want to say it's 10 and 30. But
So
check the docs out to
you
be
would get a
sure.
strength percentage of 75 and 35 on your secondary class. And so if you focus strength or even vitality with Dark Knight and Pirates is a decent pairing too. Vitality is 60% on the Pirate, and Vitality is 18.75% on the, which it looks like this is what they focused on and spent their PJ rewards.
Right.
18.75% on the Dark Knight. So,
So I think I can't remember who someone in our Discord channel had a really interesting, excuse me, an interesting philosophy on paladins that this reminds me of. They were basically saying that it's kind of the ultimate tank hero, right? Well, what about magic defense, which would be, I believe, we're hypothesizing to be wisdom. So, if you happen to have a paladin with, like, say, a wizard subclass, gee, I might have bought one of those from somebody accidentally at one point. Uh, that if that's a 20% secondary growth of wisdom and a 65% primary. If you boost that, you actually can get you know 70, 75, and you can get up to 50 if you use a normal crystal. So you could start to build up wisdom on top of endurance and vitality and basically make just an awesome tank. So that was a strategy I'd heard from someone in our Discord channel, and I think I'm probably going to try to play that out here with this rare paladin that I have because he happens to be a wizard subclass.
nice. Nice. Interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to how this subclasses play in on a skill standpoint and even a stats growth standpoint. That's both are pretty exciting. And all right, well, let's say last call here for YouTube questions. Go ahead and throw anything out that you might have. While we're waiting on any last questions, Neindorf, any closing remarks for the day?
I think it's just, we don't want to be a Debbie Downer, right? Because things haven't gone 100% perfectly smooth. And, you'd love to see everybody all bridged across and happily watching um, their gardens grow. But I think we also have to, kind of step back and remember that this is somewhat of a transformative technology here, kind of like a never been done here. So we'll cut them some slack. They'll pull through. We'll get uh, our juicy, hopefully 1,000% plus APRs here. Um,
Yeah,
and I think that'll make people's memory completely forget about the
like short
last
term.
8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, I think that the team has always really stood behind what they say they're going to do, and even though they're going to see the delay, with Frisky's announcement, they're going to stand behind. If you are in the gardens by 9 a.m., I think tomorrow, you're going to get the rewards as if you had been in there since 8. Um, and so I think that the kind of things like that are really trust building inside the community, and like I kind of started out saying and complimenting on Crystal Vale, it feels like the things that they could control, they really hit those out of the park. So yeah, I think it's been we get a YouTuber also chastising me. I probably rightfully so for being a little down on it. So I'm glad you brought that back up.
Yeah, and I think we also have to remember too that some of it is probably the Ava Labs team, and not exactly within the control of the DeFi Kingdom's core group. So now you kind of have some collaborations, and I mean that's fine, and I'm sure they'll make it. I think it'll still be trustworthy. I think that might just sometimes take a little bit more effort. Collaboration and communication is critical and can sometimes just take a little bit longer. So I think we'll have to bear with them as they're kind of learning to coordinate with this new team here.
Yeah, definitely, and it sounds like they're definitely going to put an investment into to supporting this out on its own chain, which is really cool and like you were saying, transformative and brand new technology too. So that's good. All right, well, that's it from the Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms group here tonight. Thank you to all our YouTubers out there who joined us on the chat. We really appreciate it. Makes it a lot more fun, when we can hang out and interact with you guys live. We'll be over on the Discord channel too, so go have fun with us there. And like Neindorf said earlier, we're doing a lot of conversations about Crystal Vale and a lot of good ideas about how people can deploy their funds. So having a lot of fun there, and obviously we like doing the streams too. So thank you guys very much, and have a great evening.